I'll just admit a couple more people. We're up to about 57. So really pleased to have Ronni Eisenberg with us today. She has been organizing for a long, long time. She is a professional organizer. She's the author of a whole bunch of different books on getting organized, including Organizing Yourself. She's done all kinds of appearances all over, been a speaker and kind of an organizing coach and media contributor, and she's consulted with corporations and so forth. She's got a blog, The Organizing Confessions, and then she can tell you a lot more about her life than I can, but very happy to have her with us. And probably you're all here because we all can use a little bit of organizing now and again, if not a lot. So with that, I'll let Ronni start.
Thank you. Well, welcome everyone. I'm really happy to be here and to meet you, and Happy New Year. I don't know about you, but I am so glad it's 2021 and we've left that other year behind us. So I'm wondering how many of you have made New Year's resolutions. You can, for those, just hold up your hand, maybe I could see. So I did a survey recently, and it said that 83% of those who answered did not do New Year's resolutions. 17% did. Of those 17%, they abandoned their New Year's resolutions by February. Now, if getting organized is on your list, I'm hoping today you'll be so inspired that you won't abandon it, that you will keep going, because it's going to make your life easier. I know this because I've been doing this for 40 years. I'm definitely dating myself, but it's the truth. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself and how I got started. So people have asked me, you know, how did you get into this? And I said, well, do you want the real story? And of course they say yes. The real story is that I was one of the first professional organizers in the country. I mean, there were maybe a dozen of us. Now there are hundreds and thousands everywhere. And it's just boomed. The field has boomed. But this is what happened back in the late 70s. I was a reporter for Dun & Bradstreet, and I loved my job, but I figured, you know, what am I going to do in 10 years? I don't want to be a manager of business reporters, but I didn't have a clue. So a friend of mine who was a career counselor gave me a battery of career planning tests. And the only thing the test showed was that I was super off the charts organized. And I said, I mean, are you kidding? I mean, like, you're telling me I have brown hair and I know how to swim. I mean, tell me something that I don't know. Like, I should be like head librarian, you know, in Salisbury, Connecticut. But he said, no, you have really good teaching skills and you can teach other people what you know. So I said, thanks, but no thanks. I went home. Well, it just so happened that this other friend of mine, who was a reporter for the New York Times, was writing an article on a group of women around the country. It was a new phenomena who helped people get organized. And she said, boy, if they can do that, so can you, because you're the most organized person I know. And I said, okay, well, this is meant to be, because my two friends who don't even know each other suggested this within a week. So I'm going to quit my job and go into business. She said, no, wait. She said, my reputation is at stake. You've got to really promise me that you're going to do this. Now, mind you, I was really young. You know, we're talking about like really early 20s. And she said, you've got to promise. And I said, I promise. I definitely quit my job. I'm going to take this seriously. And she put me in the article as like the newbie who charged the least amount of money. I think it was like $10 an hour. I felt like, honestly, I was going to be a millionaire. It sounded like so much money to me back then. And it's, you know, even today, but she put me in the article. Now, the article came out in late February. It was a Wednesday. And I remember sitting at my dining room table. I didn't even have a desk. I had a manila folder with a pen and my home telephone line. I didn't even think about having a home office line. And I was waiting, hoping and praying that the phone would ring. Well, the first call came in, I promise you, at 9 a.m. See, in those days, we waited until 9 a.m. to make a phone call. First call came in at 9 a.m. and it did not stop for 6 months because it was so new and it just propelled me into business. And I've loved it. I've done everything I can think of with organization, and I've done so many different things over the years. And I've loved every single minute, obviously, because I'm still doing it. But this is what I found fascinating. When I started, I would say we would have maybe 10 things on our to-do list that we could have done the day before. Today, you might have 25 things on your to-do list, at least, that you could have done the day before. Overwhelmed, overworked, and sometimes you feel like on the verge of collapse. Things have really changed, and we're going to talk about it a little bit in this presentation. You know, things were a little slower then. We had snail mail. Now, you know, you can always be found. Even if you go on vacation, somebody can find you. Before there was that grace period of waiting for an answer. And today everything is immediate. Technology is fabulous in so many ways. As I was just telling Lawrence that it's, I mean, like everybody sort of like knocked on the door. Within a minute, we went from 20 people to 40 people, and now we're probably at 60. Technology is great. Problem is what I see with technology is that sense of urgency that it delivers. So what I'm going to do today is sort of walk you through some really basic, important aspects of getting organized. And I put together a fun slideshow, and then I'm going to tell you some really important messages afterwards, and then we'll open it up to questions and answers. So don't be shy. And please, I want to know everything. And if you are too shy, you can use the chat button, right, Lawrence? Do you have a chat feature where they can ask a question? They can write a question?
We do, yes, there is the chat box. Sorry, I was on mute.
Oh, okay. So great. So you can do it that way, or at the end, we will show you how to contact me if you need to. You have a question that you didn't want to ask or write about today. I'm always available. So now that I have told you a little bit about myself, I want to know just how organized everyone is. So Lawrence, how organized are we with our slides today?
Oh, well, that's what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah.
What are we doing?
You forgot the first. Okay, let's just go. How organized are you? You mean who me? Okay.
So this should be doing this. Why? Where is our, okay.
Here we go. Okay, we're gonna keep going.
Okay.
Roll to the next one.
All right.
We're going to show you this later, right? This is contact information. So I told you my story already, and then I want to hear yours when I'm all done. And I want to know there must be some people in the group who are super organized, some who are pretty organized, some who desperately need organization. So we can go to the next slide, see if you're organized or not.
Now what's going on?
Okay. Who me? Okay, yeah. All right. Let's start the slideshow then. So I want to give you about 10 to 15 pointers. And it's just the next one. So can everybody see this? Why are you so super disorganized? Super disorganized people move through the world differently. They have a different style, a different pace, and a different mindset. They go to that place of inner chaos when a task is overwhelming or time consuming. You'd rather be doing something else. Well, I don't blame you. But then what happens is disorganization multiplies and you have no idea where to begin. I remember I remember, it's okay, we can leave this on. When I had started off in the field, I had an appointment with CEO of Macy's. And I remember he said to me, you know, what do you think is the difference between people who are organized and those who aren't? And I said, they make appointments, they get to appointments on time. He said, the difference is people who are organized think like organized people. They think about their time differently. And I never forgot that. So here are reasons why it's really hard to get organized. And it is. The struggle to get organized looks different in each person. It will depend on your personality, the way you were raised, and even your environmental circumstances. But rest assured, you're not alone. Obviously, I wouldn't have been in business for over 40 years if there weren't a lot of people who needed to get organized. Okay. So yes, you don't know how. That is one of the biggest reasons why people avoid organization. So you're smart and capable, but just seem to have a block when it comes to getting organized. You read all the books, you come to programs like this and listen to Ronni, but you still can't get your life in order. When you think of yourself as someone who doesn't know how to get organized, you develop habits that aren't going to work for you. Okay. You can't get started. Another big reason. And I would love to know at the end if any of these reasons resonate with you. Starting a big project like getting organized can feel overwhelming, making it easy to put off. But this is just another block that you need to break through, because getting started is always the toughest part. And you may find yourself looking for distractions or interruptions to avoid it completely. Getting started is hard, but I can promise you, and this isn't just me, it's what so many people have said, once they have a system in place and they get started, they couldn't believe how easy it is. Okay, number 3. You believe your situation is different from everyone else. Honestly, if I had $1 for every time I've heard this, I would be so rich right now. I wouldn't have to play the lottery. Although environmental circumstances do play a role in your ability to get organized, it shouldn't stand in your way. You have the ability to change your circumstances and to get organized in spite of your situation. All of us we're all wired differently. Some people seem to have a knack for organizing, but guess what? That knack is just a set of skills that can be learned, which means you can learn them too. I promise that is true. Okay. You think you need to clean up first. People have also said to me, well, I want you to come in, but I really need to clean up first. And I said, no. I want to see things as they are. And I don't see them as you see them. My job is to make your life easier and show you how you can get organized. So life can feel chaotic at times, especially when you're disorganized. Since there's so much stuff in the way, you feel like you need to clean it up, but you really don't need to do that to start organizing. What you need to do is put systems in place that are going to help you. Okay. You don't have the right tools. Well, you know what? Forget it. You don't need the right tools, not to begin with. What you need is like what the CEO of Macy's said. You need to think. You need to have systems. And people will, and this may have happened, you may go out and buy a lot of unnecessary things until you have a comfortable system in place. You might buy things that you don't need, and you just might need some very basic things, which we can go over later if you have questions about it. The most important thing are the systems. Okay. You don't want to. Well, that's a whole other thing. And that usually happens when there is something that's overwhelming or time consuming, and you'd rather be doing something else, and you don't know how to get started, and you'd rather go to the library or go to the beach than clean out a closet. And that's really normal. I think most people feel that way. I'm going to show you in a few minutes what we can do about it. Next. You keep anticipating how hard it's going to be. Well, this is a tough one to get over for most people because you're psyching yourself out when you think this way. The honest truth is that it will be hard at first, but it shouldn't stop you from trying, because once you've done it, you're going to see that it wasn't as hard as you thought it was. And I'm going to give you tips. Let's go. You have a fear of failure. Well, look, there are people who want to do it perfectly. Organization, getting organized is a process. We want perfection in airline pilots and surgeons. For the rest of us, it just has to be good enough. So I would say, if I can organize and it doesn't have to be perfect, you can too. You just want it to work for you. Okay. You haven't found the right strategy. Here we go. The trick to getting organized is having a strategy that works for you, not your next door neighbor, not your spouse, your significant other, not your girlfriend, not your boyfriend. It has to work for you. And this takes experimentation and effort to find, but once you do, it's going to be worth it. Being organized means putting systems in place. Okay. And the reason for that, by the way, is the worst thing is to feel you have so much to do that you always have to keep up. You're always trying to catch up. You just want to be able to keep up at a pace that you can handle. So you have resistance to getting organized, or blocks towards something can be really difficult to overcome. The issue is usually linked to some other reasons why you find it so hard. But just know that once you eventually start, it gets easier to continue. I know I keep saying this because I want to drive it home. Okay, next. All right, what freedom from disorganization looks like. So if any of the reasons I listed for you here resonate with you in any way, you might be wondering why you should get organized if it's so hard. Well, because of how good freedom from disorganization feels and looks. Getting organized has the power to transform your life for the better. It just makes your life easier, and you're not always worrying and stressed out. Learning how to get organized is a skill, and this skill provides you with tools that give you power over your own life and the freedom you're looking for. Being disorganized means struggling way more than you should. How organizing has changed. And I mentioned this to you when I talked about my background. Here's what's fascinating and what's new. Not much and then some. I find that incredible that so many things haven't changed. A lot has, and a lot of things have just remained the same. I still see today, and many of the solutions remain the same. What's mostly changed is that 40 years ago, you might have said, I have 10 things to do I should have done yesterday, and today you might have 25 or more things to do, because there's so many more expectations. There's so many more choices than there were back then. Okay. Paper to digital. When I started organizing, paper was the #1 American problem. That's what most people called me in about paper. Closets then were #2. We're busting out all over. Time management, #3, was a mess for many. Systems became a buzzword, and people were beginning to think organized thoughts, all in that exact order. Today, move over paper, digital, everything has taken over. Closets still need sorting. I get called in about closets all the time. Systems of every kind are being taught, and people are still trying to think organized thoughts. Less is more. Clutter is just delayed decisions, and people are still delaying organization. The secret to getting organized is getting started. There is beauty in simplicity and knowing how to start. In a few minutes, I will tell you exactly how to start. Okay, we have a few more. All right, balancing out the stress of work and life, peace of mind. This is huge. It doesn't have to be perfect. Sure, as I said before, we want perfection in airline pilots and surgeons, but for the rest of us, mortals, it just has to be good enough. Perfection creates unnecessary stress. That is impossible to me. The imperfectly perfect solution is to step back and ask yourself, just how important is this really? Okay. Create a personal to-don't list. You heard of to-do lists. I have a long list of to-don't lists. And basically what that means are there things that I won't do because they won't lead me to what I need to accomplish or my goals. And they zap my time and energy. And I try to be very faithful to my goals so I can get what I want done. And I think we have one more. No. So if I wish I had you next week, because this is what I'd have you do. But here's a little assignment that you will learn so much from this assignment. I hope you all do this. What I'd love you to do is for the next week, at least for 3 days. If you could do it for 3, I'll take it. If you could do it for a week, that's even better. I want you to track how you spend your time. And you can do it in your calendar on a piece of paper. I don't care. I just want you to include what you're doing at 8 a.m., at 8:30 a.m., at 9 a.m., at 9:15, just as much detail as you can. And then I want you to make notes about interruptions and distractions. You will learn so much, it will blow your mind. You will learn who are the major interrupters, distractions, and you will be surprised. It could be yourself. So this is one of the best experiences. It's a gift that you can give yourself. And if anyone does it, I would love for you to write me and tell me what you found out. Okay. So I want to give you a few really important tips that I know from 40 years will make a difference in your life. And I want to start small, because if I give you a lot of tips, you're not going to do them. If I were to take all 10 of my books and 40 years of experience and come up with the one tip that will absolutely positively make a difference in your life, it's this: prioritize, prioritize, prioritize. Why? Because no matter what you think, not everything has the same value or weight. If you don't know how to prioritize, then you ask yourself, what's the most important thing for me to do right now? What must get done and what can wait? If you ask yourself those questions, your priorities will come to mind. You can also ask yourself, as I mentioned in the slides, how important is it? Here are some examples. You have an appointment and you really need to be there on time. That's a priority. The dishes can wait. The bed can wait. You've got to get out the door. You need to be really cognizant of what's important to you. And what I suggest is, especially for the new year, and this is something valuable for you to do, make a list of what you'd like to accomplish the next 3 months, okay? I don't care if it's 5 things or 10 things, just make a list and prioritize the list. Think about what's most important to you. What do you need to get done? For instance, you're going to be selling your home. Maybe you need to call agents to come give you, evaluation on your home, or you need to declutter. But make a list of what you want to do and prioritize. Then to start, just concentrate on the first 3 things. If you do that and you don't worry about everything on the list, you will get the most important things done. And that means you will have mileage for your time. You will have value for your time, because once that time goes, you can't get it back. So tracking your time and prioritizing will help you make the best use of your time, the minutes that you have to get things done. Okay, that's tip number one. The best tip I have. The second tip is this. It's easy to get overwhelmed. I mean, organizers, professional organizers get overwhelmed. It's, fact of life. There are things that are in front of us that we say, oh my goodness, like I really don't want to do this. So what do? Your assurance against procrastination when you're overwhelmed is you can take any project and you keep breaking it down and breaking it down and breaking it down into the most manageable parts. And you can work on a tiny sliver of the project or work, let's say 10 minutes at a time. It doesn't matter. But you just keep breaking it down until it is manageable for you. Other suggestions. I still have, do you remember those old-fashioned kitchen timers? If you take a kitchen timer, or you can use, the bell, the clock on your phone, you can turn it on for, let's say, 15 minutes and say, all right, I'm going to start. And when the bell goes off, I'll stop. I mean, you can do anything for 15 minutes. So that's another way to get you started. Have a buddy system, have someone check on you and make sure that you're accountable. You can barter with other people. So you have to do your taxes. You dread it. Everyone dreads doing their taxes. Well, maybe you have a friend who can help you with your taxes and you can make food, you can make dinners and ship them over. I mean, those are some surefire ways of getting things done that you avoid or you don't look forward to. That's the two tips. Third tip is a place for everything and everything in its place. That is your assurance against losing things. So what that means is your glasses go here all the time. Your pens and pencils go there all the time. Your keys always go there all the time. It never changes. It's where this is the time you need to be monotonous and do it the same way over and over again. I may walk into a room and have a senior moment and forget why I walked in, but I don't forget where I put my glasses or my keys or my pens or anything that's medicine, anything that's really important. That's number 3. Number 4, we had talked about a little bit, learn to say no. I mean, people will become a little bit disappointed or annoyed. However, people can always be kind of disrespectful to you and your time because they don't understand how important it is to you. And it's okay to set boundaries and protect your time. And if you remember, your kids were young. I mean, how many times did you have to bake for the bake sale? And, there might've been a time that you said, I'd love to do it. I just can't do it this week. So you need to be true to yourself because you count too. If you don't guard your time, I promise nobody else will. Another important tip is if it's overwhelming, if there's too much to do, you can outsource. And again, this is a good time to barter. Companies work best when they work as a team. The same thing with households, the same thing with neighborhoods and communities. When you're a team, more gets done. So if there's something that you just don't want to do or you're not good at and you can outsource it, there's nothing wrong in asking for help and calling out for help because we just can't do everything ourselves. And last but not least, I already told you about tracking your time. It will be such an eye-opener for you. So I wanted to put together my 5 or 6 most important tips to help you organize yourself and just to get started. Of course, there are more, but I don't want to overwhelm you. So I broke it down into 5 or 6 steps. And right now, I would love to take your questions and get really specific. So who has a question for me? I know that you do, and it's okay. This is a no judgment zone right here. I think we have one. Can you read it?
Do you want me to stop screen sharing for a little bit, Ronnie?
Excuse me?
Would you like me to stop screen sharing for a little bit and then people will be able to see more people?
Sure. Oh, sure. I thought everyone could see me at this point. No?
They can see you, but they can't only see probably a limited number of each other.
Oh, okay.
We can go back to it.
No, whatever is comfortable. I just want to, hi everyone. So this is the time that everyone has the most fun because you can get really specific and ask questions. Like someone asked, will the slides be available? No, they won't, but I'm available. You can always reach me and we'll give you information at the end. So I'm organized. Starting is my problem. I know it's hard. So I had mentioned a few suggestions. When you're overwhelmed, when there's something you need to do, it can be overwhelming and it's really hard to get started. I mean, seriously, we're not Mary Poppins. However, I have found, and clients have told me over the years, that if you, like I said, you do the timer tip where you say to yourself, look, I'm going to just do it for 10 minutes. Just do it for 10 minutes. Chances are you won't turn the timer off. You'll just keep going. But you can do anything for 10 minutes or do part of the project. Let's say it's organizing your closet. Well, maybe the first thing you're going to do is spend 20 minutes today just weeding out. You don't want to organize what you don't need. So weeding out is always step number one, whether it's your pantry or your closet, doesn't matter, your garage. You want to get rid of things that you don't need. For those of you that want to organize your closet, I love, especially this time of year, because there are so many people who are cold and need gently used clothing and coats. And I always like to say, donate with dignity. Make sure that if you're donating something, it's in decent condition. And go through the items that you don't wear, you don't use, that you don't even like anymore, and put them in a box, in a bag. Every community has places where they're still accepting donations, so you might want to check those out. And let that be step number one. Maybe for the first week you just go through your closet and for 10-15 minutes a day, and you weed out. And you just do it step by step, so it becomes easier for you to do. So did that help? Okay. If I could read these. There are a couple, I don't want to read names, but piles of papers from at least 4 years. I don't see the rest of that. Okay, so what do you do with your papers? Well, I don't know which papers. If they're your taxes, you've got to keep them for about 7 years. You have to at least ask your accountant. But I would hope that everyone has some sort of filing system. It doesn't have to be fancy. If you don't want to put it in a file cabinet, you can go to like Staples. You can do this online. You can get what they have. It's called a household affairs file. It goes A through Z. Some of the files, they're accordion files, have labels on them, or you can put your own notes on them. And then when you're done, you store it on a shelf. Make sure on the cover you write what year it is, 2021. And that's where you can put your papers. But I don't know what 4 years of papers that you have that you want to go through. But generally, in terms of filing, my favorite is color coding, a color coding system. Why? Because your memory will respond to the color first, such as if it's in a green file, it has to do with money. If it's in a blue file, it's medical. If it's in a red file, I better get to it this week. And you can put those corresponding papers that are current in those files, and you label it and you make sure that it's handy. It could be in a stand-up file by where you work, or it could be in a file cabinet, or in one of these household affair files that when you're done, you put on a shelf. The most important thing is you need to do something so that, why? It's not because it looks pretty. It's because you want to be able to access the information when you need it. And you may not always know when you need it. You may need to prove, when you had your pneumonia shot. And by keeping a list of your medications and your inoculations and you'll be in a better position. So that's why you want to file it so that you can access the information when you need it. Okay. Oh, there was some more. If you can read them better than I can.
Yeah, I'm not even sure where you're seeing these questions, but there's a couple other ones. I'm not seeing questions you're seeing. I don't know if people are privately chatting you, but let me read a couple of them. I move my clothes from one closet to another by season to have in my season clothes closet or seasonal clothes closet, but it feels like a pain every time.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, okay, so this is where everyone is different. And when I talked about systems have to be comfortable and relate to you and your lifestyle. So I love the idea, at least for myself, to have different seasons in different closets because it makes it easier to find what you need. And unless which you're not now, but unless you have a job or a life where you are at any moment traveling around the world, that's, it's a good reason to have them in different closets. I had a client she was a cosmetic dermatologist, and she would travel literally all around the globe every couple of weeks, giving lectures. And when I suggested that idea, she said, I can't do it because at any point, it might be winter and I may be going to Hawaii. So I said, fine. And we came up with another system. So if you want to keep everything in your closet, in one closet, and you can, that's great. Some basic rule of thumb is to weed out, as I said, you want to keep things of alike together. You want to keep your shirts together, your blouses together, your pants together, your dresses together. I like to put everything by color. You can put all whites together, all blacks together, and some prints together, or you can go from work clothing to dressy clothing, but you want to sort and categorize. Why? Again, it's just easier to retrieve the information of the clothing. I love space organization and looking to see where you can maximize the space in your closet. So if you happen to have, like, you probably live in older homes, so I don't know, but some of them, the ceiling in the closet is so high that you can do double hanging, and that will help you to organize everything that you have. It will create more space. You can put like all your blouses and pants on one rack and your dresses and shirts or t-shirts on another rack. But just the whole concept is to sort and categorize so that you can find what you need. When you're organizing your shoes, again, you want to do your play shoes together, your work shoes together, your Nikes together. If you can organize it by, by color or by heel height, that's great too. I do have on my blog, which is the Organizing Confessions, I have a lot of pictures of closets and systems that you might want to go through. So also on Instagram, if any of you like Instagram, there are a lot of visuals there that could help. Okay.
Next question. I am easily distracted, but I can walk into a room, start something. Then if I walk into another room to get something, I get absorbed in something else.
Right.
This could be a very organized person, but they got to keep going. They got so much to organize.
You know what? No, it's really more that it's easy to become distracted. You start something and then, you get an email and you say, oh, maybe I better do this. I mean, it can happen to anyone. It's what do you do about it? The trick is to try to eliminate distractions and interruptions. For instance, if there's something you need to work on, turn your phone off. You don't need those bells and dings and whistles that come in. Like, you belong to a group and every time somebody posts something, there's a ding. Just turn your phone off when you need to work. Turn off the television. If you need to go into a quiet area of your home to set up a home office or to work, that's what you should do. I mean, those are the two things that can help you when distractions cause the problem. is to get rid of them or anticipate problems. Like, you know that so-and-so always calls you at noon every single day. Well, you could tell the person ahead of time that, you're going to be away at that time, or don't pick up the phone. I mean, you just need to anticipate. You're going to be hungry, so get yourself, a snack or lunch ahead of time. Keep it with you so you don't get up and go into the kitchen, and then you go into the garden, and then you go into the garage. Just anticipate distractions and try to deal with them ahead of time. That will help. Okay, more. Well, we have a lot here. They're like 8.
Slightly related, but I'm often overwhelmed by emails, trying to keep up, but it seems insane at times.
I know. You know what? It's I get this question all the time. So I can tell you what I do is I get so many emails. It's insane. So I will, first of all, do not go through your emails like all day long. Have set times during the day, like maybe in the morning when you go through your work or your emails, maybe lunchtime or 3 o'clock, and a little bit later. If you go through your emails all day long, it's going to put unnecessary stress on you. I just delete whatever isn't important, or I try to get rid of. If I'm on an email chain that I didn't choose to be on, I will unsubscribe immediately, and I have no hesitation doing that. Then I will go through emails, and if it's nothing, I just delete it. And if it's something, I look at what I have to deal with, and if it's something really important, I will flag it. What's key, which is even more important than your emails, is to know what your day is made of. And what I like, and I tell people to do, is the night before, think about the next day. What do you want to accomplish? What do you have on your list? What do you need to do? If you do that and you have the right papers or files with you, then you'll start the day with just in a much better frame of mind. And then when you have to deal with your emails, you'll have a better sense of what you need to deal with. So the others can wait. You can also put emails in folders on your phone and on your computer. But those are the very basic suggestions. Yeah. Okay.
I put my daily stuff on the floor because I don't know what to do with it. Then it piles up.
Okay. What's the daily stuff though? I mean, are we talking about clothes? Are we talking about magazines, papers, groceries? What are we talking about?
Susan, do you want to? You can also unmute yourself, Susan, if you so choose.
So it's just like papers, whatever I've got in my bag. So it could be my hat and my gloves. It could be letters.
Okay. So here. Okay. So when you come home, do you have little ones running to want to greet you? Okay. No. So here's a system. This is an example of a system for you. What I would suggest, I do this too, okay? You don't want to put it on the floor unless it's supposed to be on the floor, because then you have to go back and go through it again. Right. So when you come in, if you can, just sort of take care of the few things that you've come in with. For instance, remember we said a place for everything in its place. So have a place where your hats, gloves, scarves go, and put it there. Even if it's a hook and your gloves go in your pocket, I don't care, but have a set place so you can find them the next time you go out and you always know where it is. So, put all that away. Groceries, put them away. If they're your bag, I love that you have so much stuff in your bag, so empty your bag. And if you can get rid of all the junk, if there are receipts there that you don't need, or tissues or cards, business cards, you don't even know who they're from, just toss them. I mean, if you need it again, you can find it on the internet. And what I'm trying to say is, if you take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, the most, it's really all it takes, and you deal with it when you come in, you don't have to deal with it again. And then what happened, the bonus is that you don't create unnecessary clutter. And clutter just brings us down. When I look at clutter in my own home created by another family member and not myself, it's disturbing. You don't want to look at clutter because it makes you feel out of sorts. So handle it when you get home. Take the 5 minutes then, and you'll be done with it. Out of the way, goodbye. And then you can do something like watch the news or whatever it is you want to do. Can you do that? Does it sound realistic?
Yeah, I think I was just focusing, and committing to it, and not, not wanting to spend the time, thinking it's valuable to spend that 5 or 10 minutes now.
Well, here's the thing, and this is for anybody, anything like this. The 5 or 10 minutes you spend now is going to save you time later, because you see a pile of stuff on the floor, you're going to put more stuff on the floor. And then at some point, you're going to have to go back to it and maybe try to find something and you don't know where it is. So it's a system, it's a routine. It's a system that's a routine that will serve you well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Susan. Yeah. Who else?
What are your best photo organizing tips? I don't know if this is digital or both or whatever. So,
oh, by the way, I wrote something down before we get to photos, emails. There is an app for all, Susan, anyone else. It's called unroll.me. And I think it will help you get rid of emails too. So Susan, or the person before Susan who asked about emails.
What is the name of it?
Unroll.me. It was someone just told me about it today. I started to look into it, but I think it helps you with your emails. But I just wanted to, wanted to pass that on. You can check it out. Okay, so the next question was about photos. All right. So the biggest problem people have with photos, actually today, they're all, the ones that are the problem are the digital ones. And, it is unroll.me. Okay, great. Perfect. And what I suggest is, like, everybody has, like 5,000 photos on their phones. I read something recently that was so funny that I posted it on Instagram. This young woman said, I used to just have like, normal things, normal photographs and a roll of photos. But right now, every time I want to remember something that I read or see, I take a picture of it. So that's supposed to jog my memory, but it never really does. What you want to do with your online photographs is you want to periodically go through them, and my favorite word is delete, delete, delete. I mean, you might have several photos of the same thing, or you might have a photo of someone that you're not even talking to anymore. But it's really it's a good practice to just go through your photos and cull as best you can, because it can get overwhelming. I actually put my digital photos into folders on my phone. So for instance, I'll have one of my kids. I'll have one of my workshops and like that. And so I'll have one of recipes that I like to have handy, that I don't feel like, just writing down or having a piece of paper. I prefer the digital, so I get rid of the paper. And by having it in folders, having the photos in folders is a great solution, because again, why? You can retrieve the information so much easier. Okay. And what else? Well, we have 5 more minutes, but we can keep going with questions. There seem to be, Lawrence, a lot, and I don't know if we've already gone through them.
Well, you must be getting private questions, because I'm at the end of the questions that are to the group.
Well, maybe these are the same.
So you may have additional questions, because at the moment, no one else is asking any more questions in the community.
We talked about easily distracted, and I hope my answer helped. And by the way, you can be distracted even if you're super organized. You can still be distracted. we're not immune to, I'm not immune to some of the same things that happen to you. I just know how to deal with it. So that's the best part about being organized. Okay, piles of papers from at least 4 years, just thrown and mixed, some are organized. We talked a little bit about setting up files. Easy time organizing other people's stuff, my husband's, but have a hard time with my own stuff. Well, that's because, it's almost like when you have to organize something like another person's items, you almost have a goal. People say I'm much more organized at work than at home. When it comes to you, you don't see that your stuff is as important as someone else's. Also, women are nesters and we like to take care of our families, so that you helping to organize your husband's stuff, you're taking care of him. But you can do the same thing for you. Just start with one thing. One of the things we talked about today, just do one and see if it makes a difference in your life. I happen to know that it will. Okay, we talked about emails. We talked about on the floor, photos. Thank you for the enrollment. I think we have. Are there any other? Robin, did you have a question? I know, Lawrence, you said you might have a question.
Well, I was just saying, if someone just wants to unmute themselves at this point and prefers that.
Absolutely. Or if there's something that I said that you need repeating, or you need me to repeat, or you didn't understand, and if you'd rather just write to me, that is fine too. Just let me know how you know me so that I can, put and I promise I will not delete. I will answer everybody. I promise.
Well, one thing I hear from people is, I can be organized, but I don't have any time to be organized.
Okay.
People are, I guess, very busy.
No, that's a myth. That is a myth. They don't have time, because everyone has the same amount of time. It's how you deal with your time. And the point is, I have no one in 40 years has ever said to me, I want to be organized just to be organized. There's a reason for it. It's to make your life easier. It's to make your life function better so that you can do more of the things you want to do. And, look, whether it's getting to appointments on time, getting things done, finding what you're looking for, the reasons why you might decide it's time now to get organized. And also there are people want to get organized because, someone has given them an ultimatum, too, whether it's their boss or a spouse saying, I can't deal with this anymore. I've heard that as well. But there's no time like now to get organized, so that a year from now in 2022, you're not saying, I wish I had. You can just start small. Start with one of the suggestions that resonates with you. And with one of those suggestions, I implore you to prioritize, because it will make a big difference in your life. Yeah. Anybody else?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Who's talking?
Louise Guerra.
Oh, hi, Louise.
Hi.
I don't see you. I don't see Louise, but okay.
But I can't figure that one out either. So my question at the beginning, you had written up there about personality type. I'm curious, can you expand on any of that? Well,
what I was saying was that they were all wired differently.
Right.
I don't think you're born organized or disorganized. I don't know why, but I was the most organized in my family from the time I was really young. I think for me, I was wired in such a way that I kind of liked coming up with systems. When I was like 10 years old, I figured out, well, if I put my book bag and my boots by the front door, I could get out of the house faster, things like that. So it's just the way I float through the world. I just like to be organized. I'm not obsessive compulsive. I'm not OCD. If a hanger is turned the wrong way in my closet, that's okay. Most of them aren't. In other words, it just, I know that it's all a process. And so that's how I'm wired. There are people like, it used to be, she's much better, my younger sister. I just could never figure her out. Like, we would share a closet growing up, And mine was really, my things were really neat. I always knew when she'd borrow something because she would like hang it back up half off the hanger or facing the wrong way, or I just always knew. She was wired differently. She was the one that always ended up late for every single family get together. So we finally gave her a different time, not the real time. And it was a little manipulative, but like if we were standing at a restaurant and the host wouldn't seat us until everyone was there, we had to do something like that. But anyway, everyone is just different, and you might not be a neatnik, but you might, be really organized and get a lot done and manage your time really well. So everyone is different. There's no perfect way. And is there a right way or the wrong? There is a right way if you want to be organized, and there's a wrong way to do things if you want to be organized and you have lots of clutter. But there's a reason. The goal for organization is to make your life easier, is to give you valuable time back, is to give you time with your loved ones, your family, your friends. There's a reason to be organized. So, Louise, does that help? Does that answer?
Absolutely. That makes so much sense. Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
Anybody? You're so welcome. Anybody else? Okay. Well, this was great. You were a great group, actually. You asked a lot of really, really good questions. And I love being here. I love what I do. I love teaching. And I really thank all of you. How many showed up today, Lawrence? I know a lot signed up.
I think it was about 60.
That's a nice group. That's a really nice group. Thank you all for taking time to be here with me today. And I hope everyone learned something. Just if you learned one thing that can change your life, I am thrilled. Thank you.
Right.
Do you want to put up how they can reach me? I think it was that first slide.
I'm trying to. It does not. Let me try one more thing. It does not seem to be. I don't know what's going on. I'm afraid to push too many buttons.
Oh, okay. Well, let me just say this to everyone.
But I'm going to try one thing.
Okay. I can be found because my name is all over the internet. If you want to write something to me on my blog, it's the Organizing Confessions. If you're on Instagram, is that it there? Right? This one, right?
Yeah,
the second one. It's the second one.
It's not advanced.
Can you enlarge it?
I can't do anything with it.
And everything, yeah, under Ronni Eisenberg.
No, it will not do anything. I'm sorry.
If you like Pinterest, you can find me there. My email is RONNIGE at Yahoo. Ronni, RONNIGE at Yahoo. I suggest, and I tell everybody this, if you have a personal question, don't ask me on the blog. Just send me an email because everyone can read everyone's comments. So just remember to tell me how you know me so I don't delete. And I'm happy to help anyone who needs help.
What is your email again?
It's Ronni, RONNI, and then GE. G is for my maiden name, E is for my married name, at yahoo.com.
Thank you.
RONNIGE at yahoo.com.
Perfect.
Good.
Are we done, or can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Suppose that you're just like you collect things, like you like small things. And they just, having moved to a smaller house from a bigger house, I have a lot of stuff that I know I have to get through. And I'm overwhelmed with it.
I happen to have on my blog, I have a post on clutter. I have one on collecting things. They're probably my best read pieces. I really mean it. Thousands of people have read them. They're really good, and they'll give you a lot of information. There's one on collections, one on clutter. The other really good one that is, I think number one is my, or number two, the money one, how to save money. But you'll see in there, because I talk about, are the collections, is that a hobby or is that just stuff? Like, do you love to collect cookie jars, or just you like to bring all kinds of things into the home that have no relevance? So yeah, so read that, because it gives you so many tips on what to do.
And how do you get to the blog?
Okay, so I'm going to give you the blog link. It's blog, B-L-O-G dot, and then my name, RonniEisenberg.com. It's blog.Ronni, R-O-N-N-I. Eisenberg is EISENBERG.com. And it's called The Organizing Confessions. And at this point, I think I've written over 50 posts, and it's doing really well. I have to just say, I'm so excited. According to Google, like 1,500 people read it a week. So I am thrilled about that, because it means that I'm able to impart the information to more people. Okay. So yeah, definitely. So after you read it, if you have any questions, I said you can ask me a question on my blog, but it's not private. So it's better just to email me, and you can find my email on, on the website.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Well, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Thank you for being here.
It's great.
Yeah. Good.
There's one more question if you want to answer it. If you want to. What can I do with items that don't fit into categories that you don't want to throw away? For instance, trinkets someone special gave me that do not look good and do not look cute in a display.
Wait, such as, I didn't hear what it is. Treatments?
Such as trinkets someone special gave me. They don't want to. They don't want to throw them out, but they don't really want to have them in public.
Okay, so if it's something, look, I have never told anybody, except one person I remember, to throw anything out that they, that they have set their sentimental value to. I would never do that. Except one person had this dress, looked like a Hoot and Annie dress that I said, come on. But what if there's something that has sentimental value? Get yourself, like, through. And I'm not sure the Container Store is, like, a few of them are closing, but maybe through Amazon, just get yourself a really pretty box and put the trinkets in the box and make it easy for you to look at whenever you want to. There's nothing wrong with that. I have that. I have trinkets that mean something to me. They spur a memory, an emotion. So why would I ever tell you, not to have it? Just organize it maybe in a box, the trinkets in a trinket box, and at least they're all together. So it's trinkets are a category, by the way. Yeah. And
old cards.
What?
Like old cards, like all old birthday cards and old greeting cards.
I have some, you know what? And I'm glad that I do, because I have some, from people who aren't here anymore. Yeah. And when I look at their writing, it just spurs something inside of me. So, that's what I like to do. Yeah. That's who asked me about the different personalities. And, that's how I'm wired, where someone else, won't do that. I can think of people who just say, oh, I don't need that. But, we're all different, and we have to be true to who we are. Okay. Great.
Anyone else? Last call.
Well, hopefully I'll be back, so we can rendezvous again.
Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for coming. Obviously you can get in touch with Ronni and so forth. So hope to
thank you so much, and thank you, Scoville Library.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for organizing this. It was wonderful.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good. What a nice group.
We, it's a slightly different group than sometimes.
So nice.
So we really have good groups. Usually ask good questions.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they're fabulous questions. Really good questions. Oh, there's still 12 people here. Okay.
Let's wait a minute. We'll just wait a minute or two.
That works for me. I don't really go anywhere anyway, and it's Saturday, so it's a very relaxing day. This was my focus today.
Well, good.
We have 7.
Take care, Marsha.
Marsha, Rosemary, Dottie. I love these names, Jeannie.
And I realized the last few people, I don't know what they were doing, but I removed them.
Oh, okay.
So what happened with the PowerPoint, which fortunately, until I had to bring back your slide, was not an issue. So I don't know what this is. It was operating normally the first slide or two. And as soon as I admitted somebody, the thing went berserk. Now you couldn't see it. So I'm not quite sure how it works. So
you know what? It didn't come through that way. In other words, it was fine.
So
it was fine. And remember, I
you
said
ask
to you
me to go back. So before all I could do was advance it from the mouse, but it wasn't, I could see it wouldn't go back.
It's fine. We're fine. Didn't it work out fine? I told you it was mistake proof.
But that's why I couldn't get back to, I didn't want to get back to your contact slide because I was afraid I'd lose everything. Oh,
got it. Okay, so, it worked out.
Yeah. I'm just, and again, this is a completely different computer than I've used before.
It wasn't a problem. I tell everyone it's mistake proof. I mean, you can't make a mistake unless you couldn't have, even if you didn't put up any slides, I would have just talked, but I think the slides made it much more engaging.
Right. There's a few things I could have done to reset it, but I didn't know what that would do to Zoom.
You know what? It wasn't a problem. It worked out fantastically. You did a great job.
A lot of events, big events, small events, and most people don't see the mistakes.
No, nobody would have known. Absolutely, I didn't even realize.
Well, no, except that one, but I couldn't put that slide back up. I wasn't going to.
I know, but I just figured that it was we passed it. It was fine. It was absolutely fine. So I think it went well.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you had a little, I don't know, some form of handout or something for a few of the, or like a take home for some of the those key pieces, the organizing pieces you went through. Obviously some people were writing notes and so forth. I just a thought, or a place to go on the site to see that, whatever. Right.
Well, honestly, all this information is on my blog. And that's why I referred to it. Right. And that's why after the slides, I went over the 5-6 most important points. Yeah. So, So you mean to have like just a chart or something of a handout?
I don't know. I just thought something that distilled it so they could, sit up tonight in their bedroom and going, oh yeah, this, and this. Okay.
I'd rather they go to my blog.
Okay. Well, that works too.
So, yeah. But I think besides that, I think it went really well. I think people asked, there were a lot of questions, and are you happy?
Yeah, no, I think it went great, and getting that many people, there's certain, some organizing related is certainly a topic that works for getting people in. We do all kinds of other things. Some have huge audiences. Sometimes you just don't know what interests people. At this time of year, organizing goes great.
Yeah. Well, good. So it was just great meeting you. I hope we meet again. The best thing you can do is if you know another librarian, although a lot of them have contacted me all over Connecticut.
You were, whatever we call it, featured in one of the little newsletters we get. Yeah. And so I mean, that's how we found you, and there is that kind of.
Well, certainly give me a nice recommendation so that I can keep.
Now, are you on the, you know, there is something called, and they're going to revamp it, the CLC, which is the Connecticut Library Consortium. And within that,
I'm not because I'm not a librarian. I'm not a member.
No, but it's for presenters. And, okay. And they're going to revamp it. And a lot of librarians, program people like me, I don't use it that much, but they're gonna, when they revamp it, more people will be looking at it again. And you know, you get to write a few, whatever, you write a few lines about yourself, your website, whatever, and people go to it to look for someone to teach organizing.
So it's called CLC?
Well, CLC, yeah, it's the sort of the parent name of the, you know, it's a nonprofit organization, Connecticut Library Consortium. If you go to CLC Connecticut or something like that, you'll get to the site. There's all kinds of stuff on it that has nothing to do with you.
Okay, so when will you see it's being revamped? When will it be up and?
I have no idea, but you could call someone there. I mean, I think they're working on it, like sooner than later.
Right.
But as a place, at least that, you know, potentially a couple hundred libraries who do programs all the time look at.
Yeah.
So that's a, you know, that's just one place.
Isn't that where you saw? I know Karen Friedman from the Norwalk Library sent a letter.
She said, so that is with CLC, but that's a, what's that right term? Yeah, it's like a new, it's not as, you know, it's one of those, what the hell do you call those things? It's when you send out a letter and it goes to all the subscribers, and it can be once a day, it can be 5 times a week, it can be once in a week. It just depends who puts information out. So that's where I saw it, and obviously some other people saw that too.
Well, it's
you can't get it there regularly.
I can do that, but it's more effective when somebody like you puts a note out there.
The problem with that is that lots of times people don't. You can't keep asking people to put you in that. I mean, you know, occasionally, you know, your name shows up, great, but it's nothing that's permanent. That's all I'm saying. People read it like, oh yeah, organizing, I want to do that this week, or I'm going to put her name down, and then 2 days later the thing's gone and you don't think about it.
Right.
In our case, it's like, oh, Ronni Eisenberg. Well, I'm cutting and pasting that name and putting it over here. So but yeah, no, I'm just saying, you know, you can't be in it all the time.
Why would I? Okay. All right. So
better. Anyway.
Thank you. Anyway, thank you for having me, and I hope you learned something.
Yeah, it was good. The check's in the mail. No, it's not in the mail, but I sent it on to the director this morning. So probably gets processed on Thursday, I think. So hopefully well, if not by Saturday, the very beginning of the next week. All
right. Well, you have a good rest of the weekend.
Yes, I got to go do a little shopping and then go to my partner's house and drink some wine and eat some food.
Enjoy. It was wonderful meeting you.
All right. And she was supposed to be here. I don't know what happened to her. Thanks, Ronni.
Bye-bye.
Bye.